Do you feel like you're living in a world where consumption has become the goal of life? Consumerism is not just about shopping, it's turning us into new age slaves, bound by our possessions and societal pressures. Think about it. Does the happiness we seek truly come from material things? In this video, we will explore the profound harms of consumerism and find a way to free ourselves from these invisible shackles. Now, let's get started with the video. First, we need to understand consumerism. Consumerism is a social trend that promotes the constant purchase of new items and dissatisfaction with the old, or simply, it is the act of buying things we like rather than what is necessary for daily life. The difference here is between like and necessary. For example, if you want to buy a pair of shoes when you currently don't own any, then it is a necessity. Conversely, if you want to purchase shoes even though you already have a closet full of them at home, then it is simply something you like. The biggest beneficiaries of consumerism are businesses and governments, as this trend encourages people to consume more, leading to higher sales and profits for companies. Consequently, the state also collects more taxes from both businesses and citizens. Only the consumers are miserable. The most obvious consequence of uncontrolled spending is running out of money. The phrase, running out of money, may sound mild and ordinary, but many people don't realize that it's because they don't have money that they have to do jobs they don't like, or even jobs they hate, from dawn till dusk, because they don't have money. Even though they hate their boss or colleagues, they still don't dare to quit their job, because they have no money. They cannot keep the ones they love. Some even abandon the love of their life just to marry someone wealthier. For me, it is truly insane that we trade our lifelong happiness just for money. Many people might explain that if I marry that person, where's the money to live? So, I have to marry someone wealthier. But is that the truth? If we say, where's the money to play? That makes sense. But, where's the money to live? Does not. In today's economy, it's impossible for someone who works hard for 8 hours a day to find themselves lacking food or a place to sleep, or to not earn enough to live. From this, we can conclude that consumerism has driven us to uncontrollable spending, leaving us out of money. When we run out of money, we are forced to do things we dislike or even hate. We sacrifice our two most valuable things, freedom and happiness, just to acquire money. Then we use that money to buy pointless things. This creates an endless cycle. In reality, very few people recognize the nature of this cycle of suffering. So when they run out of money, they dive headfirst into earning more. But they forget a fundamental truth. Human greed is bottomless. No amount of money can fill the deep pit of material greed. Therefore, the only solution here is to take control of your material desires. Now, let's explore how consumerism is formed. This ideology did not arise naturally but was deliberately created by a group of people. And the ones behind it are none other than capitalists. Or in other words, businesses. During the early Industrial Revolution, capitalists forced slaves, particularly black individuals, to work in factories through violence and whips, aiming to maximize profits for the capitalists. However, as society becomes more civilized, no one accepts slavery as before. People are also creating more wealth. And when there is more money, no one wants to work as a laborer anymore. The most important thing is that supply exceeds demand. The quantity of goods continuously produced has surpassed the basic needs of humans, leading to excess inventory and causing companies to no longer earn substantial profits. To address these issues, an initiative was born, consumerism. The tool of this ideology is advertising. Companies spend billions of dollars on advertising every year to constantly present promotional images to consumers. Advertisements are everywhere, from television and newspapers to social media platforms like Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. Even when walking down the street, it's filled with advertisements. Their sole purpose is to make us spend more. Constantly appearing advertisements have ingrained false beliefs about life values into our minds. Since when has success been defined by wealth? Happiness is also measured by financial sources. Love is defined by money. Without money, there is no love. Love and money were originally two separate concepts, but now they are intertwined. I wonder if people had love before paper money was created. In ancient times, when there was no money, people often used shells as a medium of exchange. So, back then, could love have been determined by the number of shells a person owned? These are false beliefs. A false belief accepted by society will eventually become regarded as a true reality. Now, let's take success as an example. This is the ideal model of a successful man. Success means owning luxurious clothing, a big house, and an expensive car. And to succeed, we must earn money to acquire these material possessions. But is this the true essence of success? So, if we give these clothes, houses, and cars to a homeless person, would that homeless person become successful? Clearly, success is not about possessing external material things. It depends on the internal capabilities of a person. Specifically their maturity, ability to create wealth, discipline, and perseverance that they have built. Jack Ma, the richest billionaire in China, once shared a profound statement: "If you take all my money and wealth and throw me into the middle of the desert, just a camel passing by, I will become a billionaire again." From this, we see that success depends on internal capabilities rather than external material possessions. However, movies and advertisements have brainwashed us into believing that to succeed, we must attain these material things. And when we buy them, the ones who benefit are none other than real estate companies, car manufacturers, and fashion brands. The same applies to happiness and love. The main point I want to convey here is that consumerism has used advertising to brainwash us, making our values of life tied to consumption and materialism, leading to financial burdens and, consequently, a decline in our quality of life. Even those who possess a lot of material wealth may feel empty due to misidentifying their values in life. In addition, I don't mean to hate or criticize money. In fact, I quite like money. However, I only use my money for necessary expenses and to help others, not to buy trivial things. What I want to emphasize is that uncontrolled spending leads to financial burdens and makes our lives unhappy due to misguided values in life. If in the past, capitalists used whips to enslave workers, in the present, companies more subtly use consumerism to enslave us. They make us do jobs that we do not want to do. Few of us can recognize this. This reminds me of a scene from the movie, The Matrix. The film tells the story of the battle between AI and humanity. When AI dominates the world and traps all humans in pods, everyone falls into dreams, and only a few realize this and wake up. Now, let's explore one of the most typical examples of the influence of consumerism: your wardrobes and shoes. I know there are clothes that many of you buy just to wear once or twice and then leave in the closet for a year before discarding them. Just like my roommate, I used to live with a friend, and there was only a wardrobe in the room. I had very few clothes, so I just hung them on a drying rack and kept them in a suitcase. While he used the entire wardrobe, the first thing my friend did after each payday was to buy new clothes. And he was very diligent in maintaining this habit. However, one of the phrases I heard most often from him was, "I have nothing to wear." Because the wardrobe ran out of space, he had to hang more clothes on the wall. Nevertheless, he still has nothing to wear. I really don't understand. Clearly, For each type of clothing, we only need a few pieces to alternate. But most of us buy them because we like them, not because we need them. Through today's video, we've seen how consumerism enslaves us, making us trade our freedom and happiness for trivial material possessions. The solution to escape consumerism is minimalism. Next week, I will make a video about minimalist living. Be sure to tune in. See you in the next video. And I wish you all a great day.